Welcome everyone to my channel. For those who are new, my name is Monica and today I am doing a review and a flip through of a beautiful tarot deck called Flora Tarot. As usual, I've got my cup of tea here with me in my black and white owl mug, and I think it's rather fitting because this deck itself is a black and white tarot deck. So Flora Tarot is a beautiful creation by an artist by the name of Iara Côrtes. I'm really sorry for mispronouncing that. I'm terrible at pronouncing names I'm not familiar with. And this is a botanical tarot deck, and it is a black and white tarot deck. So I'm going to start the review first by saying that I bought this deck because while it is not a deck I will read with for clients, at least I don't think so in the foreseeable future, I love the botanical theme and I love the particular aesthetic design and the concept behind it. Okay, I love the fact that it's black and white and that it features botanical illustrations, and that's something that I always love and I'm drawn to. So keep in mind as you go through my review that I am somewhat biased, okay, because obviously I love I love what this deck shows. Okay, now I am personally a huge fan of botanical art, as I've mentioned, and especially vintage style botanical illustration. And I'm going to start the deck. Actually, I'm going to start by having a cup of tea before I forget to do so. Please excuse me. So let me open up the box. And the first thing that I noticed is just how beautiful the inside of the box is. Even to me, it's even more stunning than the outside design. And it says "Make it lucky," and I love that. And when you get the cards out, let me just put these aside for now, but you will see that the print extends all the way inside the box, and I just think that's a really nice touch. Okay, it's the usual standard box, and on the back also it says "Make it lucky." It's got the Flora Tarot 2021 copyright. This was a Kickstarter backed deck for me, so I got this on Kickstarter. It also comes with a number of additional extras, so one of them being this lucky clover pin that I've got here. Now I will go through all the extras in a separate part at the end of this review for you, but it does come, I received it with a few extras, and I'm not sure whether you're able to buy those or not via the website now. You'd have to check that out yourself. So the clover is obviously an important symbol in the design of the deck, and it features on the card backs. So those are the card backs. The cardstock for this tarot deck is a linen cardstock. It's similar to the Pagan Otherworlds. That is the first that comes to mind. So it has a really beautiful smooth element in shuffling. Like if I was to put this down on my table and do that, see how beautiful it all, they just glide over each other. It came in that they're a little bit slippery perhaps, but not overly so, okay? And I really like that because sometimes when I read for clients, I like to do this and actually get my clients to choose the cards themselves. And there are other tarot decks out there where it's virtually impossible, excuse me, that was my phone. It's virtually impossible to do that with, okay? So that's something that you want to keep in mind. It's got a beautiful linen card stock. Now what I'm going to do with my review is go through some of my favorite cards of this tarot deck. And usually I try and do a bit of a balance thing where I look at, you know, a few cards that I really like and then a few cards that I'm not so sure about. But in this case, I actually love, I love every card. And so I'm just gonna highlight a few that I really enjoy and give you some of my impressions, or what I think of them. What I really enjoyed about this tarot deck is how the creator has associated the more traditional Rider-Waite-Smith meanings, and it is a Rider-Waite-Smith based tarot deck. Yes, how she has associated those Rider-Waite-Smith meanings with particular plants and flowers. Because sometimes I have found that in some cases it's perfectly understandable, the association, and in other cases it's rather unusual and very original, actually, in a positive way. So unusual in a positive way. Okay, so let me flip this over and start with the Eight of Cups, which is associated with morning glory. So first of all the cards have this particular layout. They're obviously black and white with different nuances or shades of gray in between the black and the white, and they have this particular border on the inside, and I'm still not 100% sure about that. Like, I like it, but then I do wonder, could that border have been made a bit smaller maybe? I'm not entirely sure about it. It's one of those things where I've had this tarot deck for a few months now, and I'm still allowing it to speak to me and to, have a bit of a dialogue about how we feel about each other. So, anyway, the Eight of Cups associated with morning glory. Now, the reason why the Eight of Cups was associated with morning glory is that the morning glory is an Ipomea purpurea plant. That's the Latin name, sorry. And the Ipomea species has been used by shamans to access and alter different states of consciousness. So the idea is that that particular use of this plant connects it with a higher element, a higher ground, and it's about consciously letting go to access those higher realms that searching for truth. And of course, that's one of the core meanings of the Eight of Cups. It's leaving something behind, and in this case, you're leaving what you know, what you're familiar with, and going in search of something unfamiliar but at a higher level. And I think that's absolutely brilliant. Another one that I really, really loved was the Five of Swords, shown and associated with the oyster plant. Now, this species is toxic to humans and to animals, and it's also an exotic and an invasive species. So, with the Five of Swords, the idea of defeat and conquering something, but it's not a fair battle, really. And I really like that about, this plant being an exotic species. Like all exotic species, they just take over rampantly with, they just smother out native vegetation and ecosystems. So even though it's a difficult card, the Five of Swords, I love the association, and of course I love the plant and the design. Next is the Queen of Wands, shown here by a fuchsia. I'm just going to put these down. So, if you think about the Queen of Wands, which is the fire, extroverted, showy element out in the spotlight, that's the Queen of Wands, really. I think that the fuchsia with this beautiful flower, it's a perfect match. And I think in the book, the creator refers to the fuchsia as having a great floral spectacle. And I think that's brilliant. Okay, so that's the Queen of Wands. Another one I particularly love, and I was intrigued by it, is the Page of Wands, which is associated with the pomegranate. Not what I would normally associate a pomegranate with. However, And I think that's maybe colored by other tarot decks associating the pomegranate with the High Priestess. Okay, I'm mindful of that I've already have that sort of mental connection already made for me from previous tarot decks and historical imagery. But I love, I really like this. At the beginning I wasn't so sure, but now I can see why. And I read the book about it, and it talks about the idea of further stretching boundaries and daring to take a risk and embarking on a great adventure, which is what Persephone does when she goes into the underworld, really. And the pomegranate is associated with that, of course, but in this tarot deck it is given to the Page of Wands. So that was really beautiful, and I love the fruit and that it's also cut open. I think that the artist has done an amazing job with the way she has stylized and designed this tarot deck. And she is a graphic designer and an illustrator. So, and that was one of the reasons I backed this deck, is that the artwork and the design as well is simply superb and really well executed. Okay, this is a high quality design tarot deck. Absolutely love that. And a final one, which I'm still not sure of, is the Nine of Pentacles. And the reason I'm not sure about it is because it's got the clover association. And to me, let me have a think about it. To me, I don't associate the wealth and the richness of the Nine of Pentacles with an element of luck so much. Okay, I associate it more with a long-term hard work that brings about wealth. Okay, that's really why I'm not too sure about this one. So I don't discredit it at all. I think with a tarot deck, there's obviously reasons for the association, and you've got to really sit with it a bit longer and have a think about it and contemplate it. Like, I'm not saying it doesn't work. I just think that this is one of those more unusual circumstances where the association between the Rider-Waite-Smith meaning of the Nine of Pentacles and the botanical association, for me, is a little bit unusual. So these are the cards that I thought I'd show. And actually, I think I might have, let me see. Yes, a couple of major arcana ones. The Magician has the Opium Poppy. Now that's brilliant, because I mean, the Opium Poppy is a, you know, it's a narcotic. It's a mind-altering drug, essentially. And the Magician is all about manifestation and creativity, and you gotta think outside of the box, and you gotta have a highly creative mind, and you know, go beyond a certain barrier between reality and magic, you know, in the other realms with the Magician. It's a really intricate card and its symbolism to understand, but I think that's brilliant, having the Opium Poppy for the Magician. And then there's the Devil has the Devil's Trumpet. Very nice for the Devil. And the Devil's Trumpet is a Datura. This one's Datura Metal. Now, Daturas are a genus that are used for their medicinal properties, but also for their poisonous properties. Right? They have been used, I think, historically to poison people. I'm not 100% sure, but I do recall coming across some reference on Daturas having that particular property. And it is known for its hallucinogenic properties. And of course, the Devil, you know, what is real and what is illusion, right? That's what you're struggling with the Devil card when it pops up. So I think that yeah, it's a really nice association with the devil. Okay. One thing I regret about purchasing this deck is not getting the hard copy of the book. I so regret not obtaining that, and I will show you why. I'm gonna spend a couple of minutes showing you the book, scrolling through the PDF version that I have. So yes, you can obtain a PDF version, but there is a hard copy version, and because of the artist's location and where I am now, I'm really not sure if I'd be able to obtain that book, given, you know, the cost it would take to get here. I do have the PDF version, as I said, so I can always print it, but I think it would be really nice to have a proper hard, like a tangible, well-bound book. So let's have a look at the book. So what we have here is the PDF version of the book, and I will scroll through. I'll try and do that somewhat not so fast to give you an idea of what the book is structured like. I like that the artist very earlier on, she states that the Flora Tarot is not a deck for beginners, and that if you are a beginner, she recommends the Rider-Waite-Smith Tarot deck. I think that's a great point. Now, throughout the whole book, you will see lots of artwork, lots of historical botanical drawings of plants, and also visuals of sculptures, and basically anything related to the plants that she's highlighting. She goes into detail about her creative process and this beautiful essay, The Intelligence of the Flowers by Maurice Maeterlinck, that she references earlier on as being an inspiration for her. And once again, lots of beautiful art captured throughout, lots of really insightful quotes from different thinkers and philosophers and artists. And with regards to each card, there is a really good structure that she has followed. So for the Fool, we've got a description of the plant itself and what the plant is all about. Then we have the tarot meaning of the Fool, traditionally in the Rider-Waite-Smith tradition. Then we have the match, or the association between the meaning and the plant that she has chosen, and why she considers that, you know, or why she chose that particular association. Okay, so here we have a sculpture of Theseus killing the Minotaur, and it's a sculpture by Antonio Canova. Really interesting. And why that is there is because Theseus in Greek mythology ate dandelions for 30 days to fortify himself to fight the Minotaur. So there's lots of really wonderful referencing to art throughout different periods, which I absolutely love. Here we have the poppy, which is the magician card. Again, we've got the plant, the tarot, the match, and the reason behind that, and different artworks. And it goes on like this for each card. And you can see there's just so much work that has gone through in the design of the book, in the material that is included. I do think the book could have done with a bit more editing. I have found a few, spelling mistakes and things like that, or, a couple of cards where I think she could have teased out that association a bit better, perhaps. But to me, those are minor things in comparison to the body of work that is contained within this book. I think it's a beautiful work of art. Like, the book in itself is absolutely stunning. So I wanted to just quickly go through and show this to give you an idea of what to expect, at least in the PDF version of the book. And once again, I regret not obtaining a hard copy. So as I mentioned, with the La Flora Tarot deck, I also obtained some of the Kickstarter extras that came with it. The first one being this beautiful pin and the design of a clover. And I think that is absolutely beautiful, and I really love that. The second one being a beautiful cloth. Now it feels like it's a linen or linen cotton blend, I'm not sure, but it's a beautiful, beautiful natural fabric, and it's fairly big. I don't think the camera will capture it. And right in the middle there is a clover design, right? So it's the same as the back of the cards and the pin. So it's a beautiful cloth, and it is a good size. The final thing is I received some postcards, and I still have them because what I want to do is to frame these and put them up on my wall. So the cards are the Empress, and they're really, really decent size. And yes, you can send these as a postcard to people, but I love them so much I'm not sharing. I got the Empress, the Lovers, the Wheel of Fortune, the Tower, the Star, the Moon, and the Sun. Okay, so that's really nice. And as I said, I'm gonna try and get these nicely framed and put up on the wall because I love botanical art. The other thing I've got to say is that the deck comes with extra cards, and I'll briefly go through these. We've got the Seeker card. Now this is a card that has love, hope, luck, and faith on the border, and they stand for the 4 leaves of the clover, of the lucky clover. And then there's a card called Flora, and I need to read about where this comes from, or you know, the idea behind the design of this card. I'm not entirely sure. Then we have one that's the reverse black and white of the back. Then there's a completely black and a completely white card as well for anyone who wants to do some sort of drawing or artwork on these, if you wish to. I won't be, because I just feel I'm not artistically inclined, no matter how much I try to, and I would butcher a nice card. So there are extra cards as well that come with the deck. Okay, let's have a look at the full 78 card flip through. Thank you for watching.